Let's go, fellas. It's been a little while since I've done a Trap Life podcast. I'm trying not to say sorry for things I'm not sorry about. I guess I'm not sorry about it. I do wish I was doing more, but life's busy. I was just saying to someone this morning, I feel like I could do more with this, but I'm just not willing to give up my career in education and coaching. That's what I love to do. Since we talked last, finished up a junior high wrestling season, had fun with that. Had a couple wrestlers, 3 wrestlers qualify for state, and 2 of them placed. And if you know wrestling, you know it's tough to place in your state tournament. And so a couple good kids that had good seasons. That was fun. And finished that up and have kind of since been working, on 2 things. Number 1, working vigorously to try to get caught up because while you're coaching a lot of your day job, there's a lot of little things, like anything you can let slide, you let it slide. At least that's how I do it. And that's how I get to this as soon as the season's over. So I've been trying to work hard at catching up. And then number 2, work hard on getting started on summer football because I got to get ready. But I'm excited to finally jump in front of the camera here and had a good conversation last night with Jeff Turner. Jeff Turner's an offensive coordinator at a high school in Florida, East Bay High School. Good-sized school, 2,000 type kids, and I forgot what he said last night now. But I know it's, let's say 2,000. You're going to find out later when we talk to him how many it was, but somewhere in there. But a good-sized high school, and they're wing T-based, man. They will run their stuff out of the gun, but 2 wings, and Jet is priority number 1, right? And so how do you make Jet go, right? And if you know anything about kind of, realistically, if you're watching, you like talking ball kind of in the style that I do. I like asking as many little detailed questions as I can because I just don't believe that it's about a certain scheme, quote unquote. There's just millions of schemes that could work. I've seen people run Jet effectively, and I've seen teams that can't make Jet go. They can't make it go. And they sit there and they ask, why can't I make it go? To me, I think the answer is probably more straightforward, at least as far as understanding the answer of what it is. Now, executing it, that's never easy. Even when you understand how to execute it, you have to execute it, which takes a long time, right? So if you're in a situation where you haven't been able to make Jet go, there's probably a couple problems. Number 1, in my opinion, you're not repping it enough. I think that is that too obvious? Is that giving too obvious of an answer? If you can't seem to make Jet go, I would say, number 1, you have to consider you're probably not repping it enough. Number 2, you're probably not holding the details of blocking it. You're not holding them accountable to the details of blocking it. Whatever those details are. I think there's a number of ways you can block Jet to make it go effectively. Find somebody who runs Jet well and copy their style. And now you got to go practice it and hold your kids accountable. Right? We all know that, right? Repetition, 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 repetition. So we're going to hear from Coach Turner out of East Bay. He's been the offensive coordinator there. And again, good-sized school, running the ball very, very well. He's got some clips to share with us later. So I think you'll enjoy seeing those. But a couple thoughts before we do. A couple things. When we were in 2015, right, that's where we made our big run, and that was the year we put an emphasis on stretching the field horizontally, right? So the benefit of Jet, Rocket, for us, we chose Rocket. I didn't like the idea of trying to use both. I'm not saying you can't. I didn't like the idea of trying to use both Jet and Rocket. So we stuck with Rocket. But regardless, right, it's an edge play. You're trying to stretch the field. We made it a point. We have to stretch the field horizontally. We've got to stretch these guys. We've got to force them to defend us. And when we would catch your inside linebacker starting to chase a lot, we knew we could hit our compliments off of Rocket. So it started by we made a point to rep it more every day. And what we repped every day, for us, it was the desire drill, which was an old drill that I got from Brian Stortz, who was at Lake Zurich High School at the time. And Stortz was introduced that desire drill. It was on Chief Pigskin for the longest time, like early days Chief Pigskin. We're talking like 12, 13, if you were around then. You've seen desire drill. Well, we installed desire drill, and we used desire drill every single day. Every day. I mean, And I sit there and I go, is it a priority? Is it not a priority? If it's a priority, then it's got to be every day. What do we want to be good at? We knew we had to make a priority of stretching the field horizontally. We have to stretch it. So we got to do this every day because we want to be good at it. Now, we were good. Listen, we had really good running backs. So that's not going to change the fact that that's a huge piece of why we were good. We had very good speed. But we worked on it a lot. So we worked on the timing of it. Of course, the quarterback's had to reverse out and get width to his pitch. It's not that easy of a pitch, right? If you've run rocket for any amount of time, you know that you probably had some quarterbacks that were good with it and some that struggled with it. Like, it's not that easy of a pitch. It's not as easy as just flipping a ball to a guy. You got to turn and get some zip to it and get some width to it. If that ball has any arc to it at all, just the consistency of that pitch just goes straight down. Now, so that's one of the benefits of jet, is that now with jet, you don't have that inconsistency of the pitch. You're just giving the ball. But there's another piece of that puzzle you got to work on, which is now the consistency of your snap and timing that up with the motion has to be repped. Time and time and time again, because the timing of it is so important. The other thought I had, so you have to rep it like crazy. So number 2, you have to pick how to block it and block it well. In my opinion, I really like the idea of keeping the outside arm out of the block. I think it helps you keep away from getting holding calls as much as you can. So I prefer to rip that. If I'm reaching, as someone would say, right? We first started by changing the name and calling it race. And we thought race was important just linguistically with the kids because we want them to turn and run laterally. And they weren't turning and running. They were reaching for a guy because the block was called a reach. When we said, we actually don't want you to reach for him. We want you to race him to the sideline. Get him beat, then rip across. We want to keep the outside arm out of it as much as we could because nothing's going to kill nothing kills a drive faster than a holding call. You get a holding call and it's like, that's hard to overcome. Really hard to overcome. So we got to avoid holding calls. And I think the best way to do that is keep your inside arm out or keep your outside arm out of the block. Right, so that's another detail. Obviously, of course, we could talk more about that. You're always welcome to reach out to me at any time. Hit me up on Twitter or shoot me an email at coachalbaugh@gmail.com. And I love hopping on Zooms and talking football. I love it, so never hesitate to reach out. But the last piece of the puzzle is, rep what you're going to see. Now, in my opinion, I think this is doable because there is not an infinite number of ways that you can defend the edge, right? Like if you put the whole defense together, there's like an infinite number of ways that a guy could defend your entire offense. Where's the 3 tech? Where's the 1 tech? That all can go all over the place. But as far as like how can you defend us from tackle on out, that's kind of limited. So I've had guys before ask me, well, how am I going to block it if they play a 9 and an outside backer outside of that and then the corner? And I remember I was talking to somebody and I was sitting there reading it and I'm going, well, if they have that many guys outside of that, who are they using to defend everything else? Ultimately you run out of guys. They really have to decide, for the most part, a team has to play. Let's say you have a tight end and wing. And let's say you even go like X over. Tight end, wing, X. You have to decide either I'm going to play my edge defender outside of your wing or inside of your wing. And if just very rarely would we see a guy on a 9, right? They got a down lineman outside of they have a down lineman outside of our tight end and an outside linebacker right outside of that. We just didn't see it very often. If they're going to have an outside linebacker outside of our wing, we would usually see like a head-up defender on the lineman, on our tight end, or inside of our tight end most often. And if their D lineman was, in fact, outside of our tight end, like a 9, then they didn't have another outside linebacker outside of that. Because now it's an odd front. So it's either, if they're going to play then like a true 9, then they probably are playing with 3 linebackers and you're dealing with like a stack. If they've got a guy truly in a 9, you're dealing with a stack and there's like one guy there in a corner. So again, if they got 3 guys out there, well, I would say, why do we worry about blocking that? We probably should work hard to not run that at that surface. So all these things, of course, that you already know. But, sometimes you got to kind of look and go, well, I guess there is limited numbers of ways that you could defend our edge, because you have to have players to defend other things that we do. So, all right, all that. Let's just start now. We're going to jump over to my conversation with Jeff Turner. I think you really like this guy. So I appreciated hearing from Jeff. And again, a Wing T guy. He's got some film to share at the end. So I'm just going to go from here to that conversation. And hey, if you want to be a guest here on the Trap Life Show, hit me up. You can find us on Twitter at TrapLifeFB. Send me a message there. You can send me a message personally through Twitter. That's at Nate_Albaugh, Albaugh. Yeah, would love to have more guests and keep this show going. I got a little bit more time now that it's spring, summer, and I'm starting to get really excited about my own scheme and executing my scheme. I probably think about it way too much. All right, enjoy this time that we had with Jeff Turner. Coach, in your opinion, what do you guys do well that allows Jet to work for you?
Well, for us, first thing about Jet is timing. So all week, from the first day of practice in the fall, we're going to work nothing but timing. We have a jet drill every day that we run for 5 minutes, and it's all about the quarterback under center, getting the ball out to front side A gap on the play. We'll run jet out of pistol as well, because we did it probably, I think last year was 50-50, dead 50-50, because we want our quarterback to be a runner too, so we don't want to stick him under center and be stuck there. We think it hits really fast, and usually ours does not get strung to the sideline because everybody tries to force it. So we talk about getting in the funnel. So we'll lead and most of the time lead kick it, and then we'll run it up inside, because first thing people are going to say is stop the jet when they play us. Last year we averaged 11.5 yards a carry on jet just alone. So that's the first thing they're going to try to take away. So we know they're going to force it inside. So we don't really care if it hits inside, outside. Our back is to find that funnel, and we have the guard to actually read any kind of kick blocks that turn him inside, or force players that turn him inside. And if he sees that force, he's going to roll up as well. And we just follow the guards, kind of like old school buck sweep, but we're going to hit it really fast.
Okay. We're going to break this down now, guys. So if you're anything like me, he said a few things in there, and I was already like, whoa, tell me more. So like the first thing you said was, we want that quarterback to get out and get to front side A gap. So in my head, I'm thinking snap and reverse out. And as I reverse out, I'm trying to cover ground as a quarterback to make sure I'm handing it off in front side A.
Yes, sir. All the way around. We take all the way around. We try to make it even 2 steps and make it a rushed handoff. During that jet drill, we try to get them to feel as if you're not going to make it. We want it, and we want to stretch every ounce out of the play. We're coming from a running start where the defense is in a dead standstill. So we want to milk that every piece of time we can out of that.
Now, is your jet man always coming from the same spot, or is it going to mix up? Sometimes they're coming from far, sometimes they're coming from closer.
Generally, we're going to stay in that 3-back, and then we're going to just multiple formation. Whether we move a different back into the jet area where we can, because then when we run our inside game, we're still going to show you the jet and then run belly or down, trap off of it, give you that eye candy. So we can do it out of multiple ways.
All right. So is your motion man leaving on a sound, or is he waiting for a foot? How are we starting the motion?
We're a head nod. So when we head nod, the quarterback controls the tempo, and he can snap it. And that we feel like it just puts him where he can control that tempo, and we can get every ounce of that running start out of it.
So he's going to give a nod, and then he's keeping eyes on him so he can time it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was something when we went, I learned a lot of fly sweep. We started running fly sweep in about 2010, 2011. I'd learned it from a guy named Gordon Elliott out in Washington, the state of Washington. He was at Auburn, Washington at the time. And I remember him saying that. Before that, I was trying to time everything up off sound, quarterbacks looking ahead. And he finally just taught me. He's like, just have the quarterback look at it. Like everybody else on their team sees the guy going in motion too. So it's not like you're giving anything away.
Yeah.
Look at it so you can time it up. So you're trying to get that guy shot out of a cannon motion, full speed. How far behind the quarterback do you want him?
Right off his butt.
So really tight.
Yeah. So we're going to have those O linemen back as far as they can.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we can cheat it until that referee tells us to move up, they're going to be back so we can do all of our pulls with clear lanes. So they're going to be right there. Our set is 1-1, and when we mean 1-1, we mean 1 foot and 1 foot. It's tight. We're in tight touching the in man line of scrimmage, whether it's a tight end or a tackle. They are that tight. They're going to run and dead off of that quarterback. His job is to get around and open and not impede the running back. So that's why we work on that timing again. We want him right at the butt of the quarterback.
All right. So priority number 1, timing, right? And that starts off with jet. When you start jet drill, let's say, I got to think everything's different per state. I'm in Illinois, so we always say when we start in the summer, but for you guys, when you start probably about now, spring, and you start doing jet drill, is it just quarterbacks, wingbacks? Is it just the two of them and a center, or how do you like to practice it?
Yeah, always with the center because we want that timing. But yes, it most likely right now we would start off with just the wingbacks. We call them T and Z. So we'd have T and Z just work in the jet, and it's total timings, all it is. Then during the season, when it gets going, we'll actually add in the fullback, and he can carry out his trap pass for the fakes, so they get used to everybody carrying out the fakes. Only thing we don't ask is the quarterback during jet drills to carry out any kind of waggle fakes. We want to get more reps on the timing, so we don't want them chasing and then having to come back.
So by default, the play action is jet, trap, boot.
Yes. So if we did it by default without changing or tagging, it would be a waggle.
Okay. So jet, trap, fake, and boot out.
Boot out the backside.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk that front side blocking. Now, when I was a fly sweep team, which we would try, we would offset our fullback, and we were trying to get the fullback out in front too, right? And we would go down from our tight end, down from our wing, and we would pull and kick with a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you say guard pull. So talk us through kind of base blocking when it's like day 1 teaching. I don't know if you guys have some wrinkles, but what's day 1 teaching of that jet?
So if we're running to a tight end, an attached tight end, the tight end and the Z, which is one of our wingbacks, or T, whichever side we're running the jet to, they will communicate the blocking scheme. The blocking scheme starts with, first of all, we tell that O-line, we're not blocking a 4-eye and back. Anybody behind that, not even touching them. The backside's going to reach, run, and aim for a cutoff point to set up a wall for cutback. So the front side will communicate. The first 2 guys on the end of the line of scrimmage, the man with his hand down will communicate a 1 or a 2. If he says, I have 1, you have 2. He'll never say, I have 1 and leave it. We want to make sure they're communicating. They don't block the same guy. So he'll look at him and say, I got 1, you got 2. 1 is the guy either head up or outside of the tight end. And number 2 is the first guy outside of that. So now we've got the first 2 guys set on who we're blocking. Now, if we don't add any tags and we're just straight up reach, it'll be tackle and tight end are reaching, and guard is pulling, and he'll try to fit in the alley, and he's looking for alley player.
So you got guard pulling, but all the blockers in front of him are reaching as well. So it's kind of just full action.
Full on reach, and as soon as that guard pulls, that running back will bubble just as he receives it, and he'll try to get his hand on that guard and follow it.
Now here's a little tangent question. We had run into this as well. Our guard, we were trying to get our guard. I guess I'll say I'm trying to take the shortcut version here of this question. When we ran Rocket, we started by taking our guard up to linebacker, but what we found was he was late.
Yeah.
So we thought we got to get to that alley, like you had said. So we would start to pull, but once in a while, any sort of penetration would cut off his ability to pull. or his own tackle might be in his way as he goes to pull. So how are you coaching him? Is it get behind all of this no matter what, or is there a point where you say get behind this unless?
Yeah, I mean, we may tell him to, look for your fit. If your fit changes, change with it. And that's what we kind of do, is because he's good when he pulls, he's going to read. So if we have a guy that, let's just say we have a 5 that beats our tackle across his face, and we don't get him reached. So we're going to tell our tackle, we're going to reach and try to run. And if he beats us, we're going to throw him to the sideline. We're going to run his butt out of the sideline, and then that guard will roll underneath that. And then the back is expected to see it and roll with the guard.
Okay.
So that's where you get the read in, but where the back off the guard.
Okay. So the back, as soon as he takes it to start bellying back, get depth.
That way he gets away from the line in case there is some kind of penetration. It's going to hit so fast that you're just worried about maybe somebody, because they'll try to follow your guards and try to catch them. If we ever see that, we think the timing's off. We don't think they did anything extra. We say, well, our timing was off. We got to get it out there a little farther. But yeah, we bubble just for that, to get away from any trash.
Okay. All right. Next question. Give me what's the favorite set, man, for East Bay High School? You're thinking like, man, what we run jet at the most is what? What type of surface do you guys like running it at the most?
We're going to run it out of a snug, which would be, kind of like doubles, and you bring it in and you're tight. Snug. Mm-hmm. Or we're going to run what we call East and West, where we're going to bring the X over, and that Y is not attached, but he's standing up about 5 yards, and we're covering the Y. That is probably our number one jet formation, because then we have the ability to tag cracks and different blocking schemes to the jet to change it and gain leverage.
All right, I'll make sure I understand this. So you got a 2-man surface to your right. Let's say we got to the right. Then your Y is about 5 yards outside that.
Well, the 2-man when I change that formation, the West, that will make the X the 2-man. So he comes over and he's covering the Y standing up, and then you still have your tackle, guard, center, and then you have your Z, your 3 back still set.
Yep.
You have nobody on the far side. There's no split, so you got a nub side.
But I guess my question is that Y, is he still tight? Is he still next to the tackle, or is he split from that tackle?
Split about 5 yards.
Okay, so he's split,
and then the Y, and then the X is staggered another 5 yards outside of that Y.
Got it. Yep. So you're true unbalanced, right?
Yep.
X over with both of them split, and you call that East-West. All right, and then but that's still out of your standard 2 wings and a fullback.
Yes, sir.
Look, I like that look. Sir. We've made good use out of that from time to time. I do like that, because that Y being detached by 5 yards puts that guy who's been stuck playing force the whole game in a real awkward spot, doesn't it?
Yes, he's either playing inside leverage or he gets over top of him. If he sits over top of him, we're going to call crack, and we're going to have that X crack him, and then we're going to have the Y crack the inside backer, and then guard is automatic on corner. And so we're shortening the edge, getting a kick, and putting that running back in that funnel.
All right. So, Coach, when you run something like jet and you run it a lot, people are going to throw all sorts of things at you to try to stop it.
Oh, yeah.
So give me something that's like a good wrinkle or a change up for you guys that kind of maybe gives it new life, or has been a good adjustment for you over the years.
Really, the best play off of it, the best, wing tees the if then, right? So if they come up and they're flying up, usually what happens is you have 2 safeties. You'll have one roll through the alley and the other try to jump back into cover 3. Once we see that, we're going 4 verts.
Without motion. So motion.
No, I'm going to give them motion, and I'm going to have another back over there offset. I'll offset the fullback, and then this fullback can either, if you don't want him going out, you can put him in the jet motion, because they're still going to do the same thing. And then you have your athlete in the 4 vert area. It's a killer. I mean, if they start rolling safeties down, usually we hit that backside vert. I mean, quarterback will slide and pop it on him right now.
Yeah. Because they're stuck. They're stuck,
Yeah.
aren't they? Because with the backside safety rolling, let's say he's trying to shuffle left as fast as he can. Boy, that's just impossible to stop your momentum and come back and cover a vertical to the right. Now,
Correct.
does that mean most of the time you are two splits, or do you play a lot with a tight end?
We play a lot with the attached tight end, but yes, we will go. I mean, that's the whole thing is we want multiple formations, multiple.
Okay.
I think one game this year we ran 28 different formations.
28.
28. But that, you can move them with tags with the fullback, where you really run in the same formation, but you move the fullback a little around, and that's still gives eye candy for the defense. But we're going to run 5 plays, 6 plays. It's going to be jet down, belly, trap, and counter. So we'll counter off of jet as well. And then our play action stuff will be keep passes off of jet and the 4 verts. I mean, it's a killer. I think we scored on 4 verts last year at least 8 times.
Oh my goodness. Well, Coach, we're getting ready to turn it over to you. You're going to show us a little bit of jet film. But as you kind of start to share your screen, I would love to hear from you. Why jet? Why jet? Because I just like hearing from guys. Why jet, right? Because as you listed your plays, it was jet instead of rocket, or jet as a primary instead of, say, a buck sweep. So it sounds like you guys have said jet is number one for us. So as you go ahead and share and you take it over, I'd love for you to just kick it off with, why'd you guys choose and latch on to jet?
Well, we latched onto it because we were running old school buck sweep, I call it old school, but everybody runs some kind of version of buck sweep, but it wasn't as explosive when we felt like it, we were having these different type of athletes. We were having these 155, 160 pound kids that we were going to have to block and do all this with. And again, not blessed with a lot of speed. So we adapted to the jet and just, again, honed on it and beat the timing down so that you take a 4.8 guy and you put him in dead sprint and, he's already in an advantage at that. Again, we've over the years, it's just been an explosive play, explosive. I mean, we charted our jet this year alone and we ran it 99 times. It averaged 11 and a half yards a carry. And 40% of that time it went over 15 yards. So it was explosive. I mean, just it's the bread and butter. Now, right. Again, if you're going to get into the good games where you're going to have to be able to run something other than jet, because a coach is going to take it away from you.
Yeah.
So our fullback, then he rushed for 900 yards himself. So we feel like it's just a great complementary play that makes the defense have to make a quick decision. And if you guess wrong and you're not reading, eye candy throws you off, we're gonna bust you big time. So this is what I was telling you. See, we're in those double snugs. We call it just Ruby and Lucy, right? And it looks like we're gonna run jet to the bottom. If you look, we're calling it Jayhawks because we just changed the terminology so that we could go fast.
Yeah.
So we're just signaling, it's a one-word term and we're out. So this is going to be jet to the bottom side. You're going to see they're going to designate. They'll talk. This is 1. This is 2. He should be reaching here, reaching there. Guard's going to fold it up, and we're going to reach right to this. And you can see him trying to get to that cutback lane, and he hits his cutback right there. So that's out of that snug formation, but you can see that's under center. If you'll watch him again, you'll see how far he tries to get out to get it to him. He snaps, he steps. I think he could have stretched out a little farther.
Sure.
All right, here's
another guard got out clean.
Oh yeah, and you can see, if you look, you can see their depth. They're really deep. Now we're out of pistol. Okay, so what we did out of pistol, so we wouldn't lose that timing, we'll have our quarterback offset in the A gap side. We're running jet to. So as we signal it in and he moves fast, he'll just step over and he'll yell to the center, hey, offset left, to let him know he's in A gap on the front side. So we're going to snap the ball now so we don't lose that timing. So we'll snap it to the quarterback where he needs to be. And you'll see him catch it and shuffle. You'll see how far he gets out. So, they're in B gap now. And this is out of a spread formation. You're going to see a kick. This is where you read right here. This guy said, I'm not letting it outside. We're going to read it. Both of them split. And that's the guard on the alley player. Here's another one out of pistol. And as you can see here, we changed the fullback. We actually moved the fullback to the strength this time on the pistol set. And he's going to be the kick player, and we're probably going to crack right there. So we got a crack, we got a reach, we got a kick, and we still have the guard waiting for someone to show. Now here's the formation I was telling you about. They're a little tight right now, but you can see we got the Y covered with the X. We're under center. They're probably, I don't know if we called crack on this one, but you'll be able to tell by these two. So we did have a crack call. We're on the inside leverage. We miss one guy, but the Z kind of picks him up and we get cut back. Again, that T that's running the ball, he's a 4.8 kid now. He's not the fastest in the books. But we had a nice little cutback wall set up so they could plant their foot. You can see none of these you've seen get outside. None of them just purely outside.
Right.
Now you can see it's kind of changing the play here.
You know what it reminds me of, Coach? I didn't notice this until around 2015. What was difficult about defending inside zone was that it wasn't clear cut where they wanted it to hit. And so it made it difficult to fit. And now this is reminding me of that because, by the time that running back starts bellying back, you're basically running some sort of like a wide zone play, aren't you?
Pretty much, yeah. Because you got these two guys over here are going to reach.
Yeah,
it's almost like a stretch out there.
It is, and it makes it very difficult to fit up.
But and if you think about it, it puts this guy in such a bind because we can run false pulls. We'll do it. We'll run false pulls and run trap inside with false pulls. And it's like this guy's like, well, if he's playing that jet, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
So you can see we're even tighter on the nub side this time. So we shrink it down and we still don't get outside and we still roll it up. I was a little fast on that one. But you can imagine if you're watching that safety up top. See, we called this out because you can see we had numbers on this side. That was called at the line.
All right, man. Well, Coach, it was a pleasure having you on, man. Any closing thoughts here, or where can people reach out to you if you have any questions?
Yeah. If you got any questions, you can hit me up at my email address is bmmry@comcast.net. That's the easiest one. All these other ones are so long, it's just crazy. Hey, I learned wing tee from a coach named Robbie Robertson, and we're just keeping it going and then just adding your flavors to it.
Yeah. And then he's on Twitter at BMMRY on Twitter. If you want to look up Coach Turner there, man, Coach, thanks so much for following at Trap Life. And it's been a pleasure to have you on.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you now.